There's something special there, and that when you surround him with a really good supporting cast and a good offensive line, that we'll even see more of that in the coming years. Even though that I think in my heart of hearts that this organization has seen things from Shedeur Sanders that leads them to believe that he can be their guy, they're going to let their new head coach weigh in on that.
What happens when a sports journalist gets exposed for their biased reporting and has no choice but to eat their words? Well, folks, we're witnessing it in real time. Mary Kay Cabot, the Cleveland Browns beat reporter who has spent months trying to tear down Shedeur Sanders, has just done the unthinkable. She's completely flipped her narrative and is now indirectly apologizing for her misconduct. But here's the million-dollar question. Is this genuine self-discovery, or is this just another chapter in her flip-flopping playbook?
I don't think that they're going to hire their head coach based on the fact that he loves Shedeur Sanders. I think they're going to go into it more open-minded than that and take an unflinching look at their quarterback situation.
Mary Kay Cabot went from being Shedeur Sanders' biggest critic to suddenly singing his praises. And trust me, this transformation didn't happen because she had a change of heart. It happened because Shedeur exposed her manipulative tactics in a press conference that left her with no choice but to backtrack. Let me set the stage for you. Just days ago, Cabot was doing everything in her power to frame Shedeur as problematic, questioning his character, and pushing narratives that had absolutely no basis in reality. But then something beautiful happened. Shedeur stood his ground, called out her manipulation, and proved his worth on the field. Now Cabot is claiming that Shedeur Sanders is going to be the first-choice quarterback for the Browns next season, and that this decision is final. But can we really trust her? Let's dive into this mess. First, we need to talk about Mary Kay Cabot's track record, because this isn't her first rodeo when it comes to targeting specific players with negative coverage. For months, Cabot has had what can only be described as an agenda against Shedeur Sanders. She's consistently misrepresented his actions, downplayed his achievements, and created controversies out of thin air. Remember when she was absolutely hyping up Dillon Gabriel as the superior quarterback prospect? Cabot was pushing this narrative hard, suggesting that the Browns should seriously consider Gabriel over Shedeur. She painted Gabriel as the mature, ready-made starter, while subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, undermining everything Shedeur brought to the table. She created false narratives about quarterback controversies that didn't exist, manufactured drama about locker room dynamics, and basically did everything she could to make Shedeur look like the wrong choice for Cleveland.
In a little bit of a different category as the fourth-team quarterback, and maybe not necessarily someone that they are trying to get ready as fast as possible to start on opening day. Not saying that he can't, because he's being given a chance just like everyone.
But here's where it gets interesting, folks. When Dillon Gabriel failed to meet those sky-high expectations that Cabot herself had created, what did she do? Did she take accountability for her poor analysis? Did she admit she was wrong? Of course not. She quietly shifted her narrative and started looking for the next angle to attack Shedeur from. This is classic flip-flopping journalism at its finest. Throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, and when you're proven wrong, just move on to the next controversy without ever acknowledging your mistakes.
We don't get to watch very much of practice anymore, but in the short, little, brief period that I do get to watch him throw, he is throwing to the practice squad guys and the backup receivers in the early part of practice. We can see it, and his elite accuracy is always on display.
Now let's talk about what might be the most ridiculous example of Cabot's bias, the speeding ticket incident. Yes, you heard that right. A speeding ticket became a major scandal in Mary Kay Cabot's reporting universe. When news broke that Shedeur had received a speeding ticket, Cabot treated it like he had committed some heinous crime. She wrote articles, went on radio shows, and used every platform available to blow this minor traffic infraction completely out of proportion. She questioned his maturity, his decision-making abilities, and even tried to connect this single speeding ticket to broader concerns about his character. Can you believe that? A speeding ticket, something that millions of Americans get every year, was weaponized to damage a young athlete's reputation. The way she covered this story wasn't just biased, it was borderline absurd. She attempted to create a narrative that Shedeur was reckless, irresponsible, and not NFL ready because of a minor traffic violation. Meanwhile, she gave other players a complete pass for far more serious issues. The double standard was glaring, and people were starting to notice.
It's all part of the evaluation. I don't care if the team will admit that or not, but this goes on the negative side of the ledger for Shedeur Sanders in terms of winning.
But here's what I respect about Shedeur Sanders. He took the high road. Despite having every reason to publicly call out this unfair coverage, he chose not to engage with the negativity at that time. He understood that responding to every piece of biased journalism would be a distraction from his main goal, proving his worth on the football field. That takes maturity, discipline, and a level of emotional intelligence that's rare for someone his age. However, there comes a time when enough is enough, and Shedeur Sanders reached that point during a recent press conference that has now gone viral. This was the moment when Shedeur decided to finally call out the media's manipulation, and specifically, Mary Kay Cabot's tactics.
Because if I'm keeping score right now, this is not a good look for him in the quarterback competition. It's not a good look. And I think it says, okay, let's literally pump the brakes a little bit here.
During this press conference, Shedeur was asked a loaded question. You know the type. The kind of question designed to make you look bad no matter how you answer it. But instead of walking into the trap, Shedeur exposed it. He calmly and intelligently broke down how certain reporters were trying to manipulate his words, create false narratives, and paint him in a negative light regardless of what he actually said or did. He made it abundantly clear that he was aware of the agenda against him. He acknowledged the pattern of biased reporting, and he wasn't going to play along with it anymore. The way he handled that moment showed incredible growth and media savvy. He didn't lose his cool, he didn't get defensive, and he didn't give them any sound bites they could twist. Instead, he turned the tables and made them look foolish for trying to play these games. Shedeur talked about his own growth and his increasing understanding of media strategies. He explained how he's learned to recognize when journalists are trying to bait him, when they're pushing an agenda, and how he's developed strategies to handle these situations professionally. This wasn't just a quarterback defending himself. This was a masterclass in media literacy and standing up against manipulative journalism.
It's those coaches and also it's other coaches also, that all poured into me and that helped me throughout everything. So definitely, it take a village. It take a village to grow someone and help you in places that you need help with, and just talking in perspectives, being humans with each other, so.
But here's the question we all need to ask. Can we consider this her final stage of self-discovery? Or is she going to shift perspectives again when it's convenient for her narrative? Based on Cabot's history, I think we all know the answer. This is someone who has demonstrated time and time again that her reporting isn't guided by objective analysis or consistent principles. Instead, it's driven by whatever generates clicks, creates controversy, or aligns with prevailing narratives at any given moment. If Shedeur has a few bad games next season, will Cabot resurrect all her old criticisms? Will she bring up the speeding ticket again? Will she question whether he's really the right fit for Cleveland? The pattern suggests that yes, she absolutely would. This kind of flip-flopping journalism is damaging not just to the athletes being covered, but to the entire profession. It erodes trust between players and media. It makes fans cynical about sports coverage, and it prioritizes sensationalism over truth. When reporters have clear agendas and are willing to completely reverse their positions without accountability, it becomes impossible to take their analysis seriously. The reality is that Cabot's sudden support of Shedeur isn't based on any new information or deeper understanding of his abilities. His talent hasn't changed. His character hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is that her narrative became unsustainable in the face of his undeniable success and his willingness to call out manipulation. So where does this leave us? Shedeur Sanders has proven that standing up to biased journalism is not only possible, but necessary. He's shown that you don't have to accept unfair treatment from the media, and that calling out manipulation doesn't make you difficult. It makes you honest. As for Mary Kay Cabot, her credibility has taken a serious hit. Even as she now praises Shedeur, people remember the months of negative coverage, the manufactured controversies, and the obvious bias. Her sudden U-turn might help her maintain access and stay relevant, but it doesn't erase the pattern of behavior that got us to this point. The drama surrounding Cabot's coverage is far from over. As long as she continues to prioritize narratives over truth, there will be more flip-flops, more controversies, and more moments where her agenda becomes impossible to ignore. The question isn't whether she'll change her tune again. It's when. What do you think? Is Mary Kay Cabot's support of Shedeur genuine? Or is this just another calculated move? Can sports journalists rebuild trust after showing such obvious bias? And most importantly, should athletes continue to call out manipulative coverage, or is it better to let their performance do the talking? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think about this situation. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our coverage of the biggest stories in sports. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.